back, everybody, to another Real Chumps movie news.
We're back!
Yeah, we are. Hopefully... Yeah, we're back. We're back this week. Lots to talk about.
Oh, man, we have so much to talk about. We can only have so little. It's a little time.
It's so little time. But I want to start off with the big news. Before we jump into it, make sure you like, subscribe. We have a weekly podcast.
Check it out.
Movie news.
We do trailer reactions and discussions. We do have plans to do actual initial impressions, but we just haven't gotten there yet. But it is in the works.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff. And obviously we want to hear from you, so make sure you comment, tag us on news that you want us to discuss or anything else that comes to mind, and we'll do it.
Thank you guys for commenting in the comments, and we love hearing that. So, anyways, let's get into this first news bit.
So, big news this week. The Acolyte does not get renewed for a season 2. So, here's the thing. Deadline is reporting this from insiders. No official word from
Disney. That is true. That is true.
Okay. No official word from Disney. And... look, we did a whole episode on The Acolyte.
Check it out here.
Check it out. We had thoughts. I rewatched a couple of the episodes again. I have more thoughts. But this is simply just numbers. On June 4th, they released 2 episodes, right?
Yes.
It generated 4.8 million views on its first day. Okay,
correct.
Which is the biggest premiere on Disney Plus this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's great.
Yep, it's great.
Okay, that number rose to 11.1 million views globally just within 5 days. Okay? Now, here's the kicker. So, then it was within the top 10, Nielsen's top 10 original charts in its premiere week at number 7, 408 million minutes viewed. Then it climbed to number 6 the following week.
This is via Nielsen's, ratings, so it's slightly different, but yeah.
But... the issue was that it dropped out of the top 10 at week 3.
Yep. Okay? And
then it stayed out of it
until the finale.
Until the finale,
where it barely broke number 10.
Yeah, it came in at number 10 with 335 million minutes viewed, which is the lowest streaming Star Wars series finale.
Okay, we've said this before, and we're going to say this again, and we're going to say this until Disney freaking listens to us.
Release them all at the same time.
Listen, they have 2 options, which the first option is the biggest win. These numbers corroborate that, and the fact that if they could just release the Star Wars shows, they're going to have a better viewership overall. I think the overall story will be... there'll still be there'll be some backlash, but I don't think it'll be as harsh.
Right.
I think that the people will be able to binge it. They'll get to see the story. They'll be on a, for the most part, a Star Wars high of saying, oh, we got new Star Wars, there's great lightsaber fight. And then people will come in and start nitpicking things because there's time to be able to start processing, rewatching episodes, that sort of thing. That would be really, really beneficial for Disney, right? It means, although Disney I don't know what freaking internal code, what internal principles they have.
The algorithm. The algorithm.
Yeah,
whatever that
is. I don't know, whatever robots out there trying to make, their decisions on this, it needs to stop. Because it makes it really difficult for these shows to find any sort of numerical success, despite it being something that is new. However, 100 million per season to make, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
But I think that one of those things, this is where Netflix has battled, right? Netflix knows that it takes money to produce good content, to keep viewers on their platform that want to keep coming back, and for them to renew those things despite being at a loss. Now, Disney has other things they have to manage, and there's a lot of other, struggles, so they have to, mitigate some of that. I understand that. But... they've got it. I think they have to take chances on some of these shows and see how the chips fall, because it's this weird long game in the streaming original series verse. Because you either have an initial wave where there's huge traction, and if you can the Stranger Things model or the Game of Thrones. So you have the Stranger Things and then you have the Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
Those are the breakdown. But I think there's another play, right? And I was saying this on the way here. Arcane
On Netflix.
On Netflix. Arcane is the League of Legends story that was released by Netflix, and it was one of their first, maybe not their first, but one of the series that was 3 episodes, part 1. It was like our story. The next few episodes were released a month later, or maybe a couple of weeks later, and then the last part of that was there. The benefit, though, is that they really wrote it for that story arc, and it felt complete, yet with each of those acts.
Yeah.
But they felt complete, and they felt like we were progressing, whereas what Disney does completely demolishes any momentum.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the episode. Like this, we, for the most part, we enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
I think there's great stuff there. I love that, we're 100 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, but like there were pacing issues here.
Yeah.
There were story issues here. And when you aren't fine-tuning these little issues, word gets out. And I know there's a fan base out there that's just hating to hate. But had they released everything at once,
I think it would have had
these viewing numbers would have been completely different.
Yes, I think that it probably would have been number 1 for a couple of weeks, but it would have dropped. It would never have dropped under 5 of like number 5. It would probably be 3 or 4.
My biggest concern here is that typical like Hollywood executives learn the wrong lessons from this. They're going to see this and say, 1, we need to just keep doing Star Wars content that takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, the Skeleton Crew. Like, everything takes place 5 years after the events of the Return of the Jedi. Or, between Episode 3 and Episode 4, which is the Bad Batch and Rebels and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're getting good numbers.
It's safe.
It's safe.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the wrong lesson that they're going to learn, that they're going to get out of this, is let's just keep doing content that takes place within that timeline. Which is why I love The Acolyte, is that we're steering away from
any of that,
right? From the main storyline, and how do what events led us to this point in Star Wars, right? But this is, it is what it is.
It is what it is. I hope that Skeleton Crew gets more love.
They already said that it's a limited series, so it's only going to be just one.
It's going to one.
But if there's enough love for it,
I don't think they'll do another. I think they'll keep it as a limited series, but they might maybe we'll just only get limited series, which is a bummer. But I'd be okay with that. As long as they're good, I'd be okay. And they deliver on a story that is worth sitting through. Then
then you're good.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Next up, we have James Spader returning as Ultron. This is also coming from Deadline. Look, James Spader. I despite some of the rocky roads he's had in the recent little bit.
Has he?
Wait, I'm not. Yeah, James Spader. Didn't he have some? Was it? Oh no, I'm thinking of.
Joss Whedon.
Not Josh. No, Josh Whedon. Yeah, but I was thinking of James Spader. You know who? It's James Spader and Kevin Spacey.
Oh yeah.
Those are the two I get mixed up in my head because they're semi.
Bold white
men. Have a gravitas to themselves on camera. Yeah. Anyways, no, James Spader. He is set to reprise his role. However, it's in an unnamed project.
No, it's for the Vision project.
Well, I thought they were.
So he's returning.
He's going to be returning for that.
So
Vision
now
project.
Vision has his own TV show, right? They did WandaVision. Now it's just going to be Vision, and Ultron's returning for this. This is interesting because James Spader has done nothing since The Blacklist, which ended a year or two after Age of Ultron. So he hasn't done anything. He's just kind of kept a low profile, and I think it's great that he's coming back out of this self-proclaimed retirement for Ultron.
He was fantastic.
He was great in that movie.
Phenomenal.
And the lines that he gave in that, and just like you said, the gravitas that he brought to these lines, it's just, he was great. So I, for one, I was just like, a Vision TV show? Why? But now with Ultron returning and not necessarily Ultron, but James Spader returning as Ultron, I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, and Ultron's always been a really interesting character in the comics. I love that we have the Age of Ultron, and they did a great job with that Avengers movie. I'm intrigued to say the least when it comes to how what is the story. I mean, this has been in development since 20.
It's been a while.
2 years.
Yeah. They teased
I guess they teased it right
at the end of WandaVision.
Right, with him, the Vision,
with the white Vision.
Yeah. Is this going to be under the same struggle that we think with Agatha, the Agatha series? Is it a little too late?
Oh yeah, 100%. But the difference is that Agatha is 3-4 years too late. This is going to be 5-6 years too late. But you're anchoring with Ultron returning.
I mean,
whereas
that's true.
Agatha has
Witches?
I mean, look, I'm excited. No, I'm not excited for it, but it's just Agatha. Like,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So, anyways, that'll be fun. I'm excited for him to come back. He was great as Ultron.
Yeah.
Next thing I want to talk about is, did you see this interview with Michael Keaton?
No, I did not.
So Michael Keaton's doing the rounds. I just want to bring this up because I'm going to quote what happens, okay?
Yeah.
And I want you, as I'm reading it, I want you to hear it in your head in the way Michael Keaton talks.
I know.
Okay?
I really
in his
wish.
mannerisms.
I feel like I was hoping you're gonna read it as Michael Keaton. I'm like, I don't think you could do it.
I couldn't do Michael Keaton. Anyways, he's doing the rounds for Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And on GQ, he was asked about Batgirl, which got canceled. Yeah. It was filmed, and they just scrapped it, and it's never to see the light of day.
Tragic.
Anyway, so they asked him, was the fate of Batgirl disappointing to you? Quote, no, I didn't care one way or another. Big, fun, nice check. Rubbing his fingers together in the universal gesture for Moolah. I love this. Then he pauses for a second, and then he says, quote, I like those boys. They're nice guys. The directors, Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah. I pull for them. I want them to succeed, and I think they felt very badly, and that made me feel bad. Me, I'm good. Which is great. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's just speaking the truth.
He's just speaking the truth.
And you know what? I respect that.
Yeah. And look, he played the part. He's already a big name. Like, for him, like, it's just like, I got paid.
Look, at the end
it's
of
fine.
At the end of the day, it's probably the same thing he would have said if Flash got canceled.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. I remember when he was being asked about, like, the multiverse and all that stuff and how he's returning, he was like, I don't get it. I just show up and read my lines. Like,
I mean, he does a great job.
And it's fine. Like, I appreciate the honesty. It's a bummer that we'll never see that movie. But the directors they just did Bad Boys 4.
Yeah.
Which was a big hit.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, it's a bummer for them, but I think their future is...
They're fine.
They're fine.
Yeah, agreed.
Lastly, Ted Lasso Season 4!
You just watch the series.
Okay, YouTubers, listeners, real chummers. I just barely got Apple TV, okay? And the first thing I watched and binged was Ted Lasso. I'm a couple years behind.
It's okay.
But I absolutely loved it.
It's truly some of the best television ever.
It is great. So they announced Ted Lasso's coming forward. This is interesting because the way that it's structured is that Warner Brothers Television picked up the options of 3 original cast members that were under contract for the UK Acting Union.
Okay.
So those 3 are Hannah Waddingham, who plays Rebecca.
Yep.
Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent.
Kent.
And Jeremy Swift, who plays Leslie Higgins. Mm-hmm. Okay. So because of that contract that they had under the union out in the UK, they're able to make more. Mm. So now they're going out to the rest of the cast, right? So they're going to go to Jason and Coach Beard and everyone else. So not everyone's going to come back. Obviously now that these 3 contracts have been approved, they can now move on to the rest.
Yeah.
Of course, Jason Sudeikis is coming back.
Yeah.
And they're going to throw money at him
to
return, right? But this is interesting.
Yeah. I think it's great.
Are you excited for this?
I am.
Because look, I just watched this and I felt like the series ended really well. I loved it. It was perfect, and I was okay with where we were at, and like whatever happens. But at the same, I'm torn. So that's how I feel.
Okay, yeah.
But I also feel like from a business decision, this makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think. This just goes to show what good writers can do.
Yeah.
Okay? You can tell a story, have it end, and feel complete. Still wanting more, but you're okay. Announcing this just gets us all excited. I also think it gives them a clean slate to tell some other story with these characters in a way that we haven't had them yet. Maybe from a different, like...
I have a pitch, but you finish.
I mean, I just, some story that is fresh, involves these characters that we can yet again fall in love.
Mm-hmm. Look, I'm excited. I'm torn about this. We 2 weeks ago we read that Apple TV spent $20 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, and the number of views they get in 1 month, Netflix gets in 1 day.
Yeah.
So from a business perspective, I look at Ted Lasso, which I can't imagine it costs more than 40, 50 million a season.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Okay. And then I look at Foundation or Silo.
Yeah, those are higher. Like they're like maybe.
Yeah, they're in the 100 millions.
Yeah.
Right? Yet I guarantee you, some executive was like, all right, pull me the data. How much did it cost? 50 million a season. Okay. And it's our highest watched show. It continues to be in the top 10 every day since it ended. Of course I'm gonna redo this.
Yeah.
Of course I'm gonna make this. I'll give Jason an extra 10 million from what he was getting paid before. It's nothing compared to what the Foundations are costing or whatever these other shows that they have.
Yeah.
The Godzilla one. That one looked expensive.
Yeah. I mean, like if they could keep that one, like Acapulco, probably also similar, maybe a little bit more higher because they split between modern and period piece.
Yeah.
But Shrinking, Harrison Ford, and that one easily smaller budget. There's only two main locations and then a couple like on-set locations or whatever, and then the story is just phenomenal. So there's that.
My pitch. Ready?
Yes.
Look, I think what made Ted Lasso so great, so many things, right? Like, just great story, great character development. It came out at a perfect time when everyone was struggling with, like, mental health because of the pandemic. And so, like, you have a main character who's very open about that, etc. Right now, we are 2 years away from World Cup, okay?
Ooh.
Being hosted by North America, by Canada, U.S., and Mexico.
Yeah.
I think you bring Ted Lasso, okay? The next step for a character like this, a coach like this, would be to take on a national gig.
Interesting.
And for those of you that maybe aren't up to date with like U.S. men's soccer, it's a hot mess right now. They fired the coach that they had already fired him.
Yes.
They rehired him, and then they fired him. They should have never rehired him.
Yeah.
Okay, the team is just...
They have not... I mean, the women's soccer team is amazing.
But men's soccer, the players got too chummy with their coach. Coach wasn't pushing them. It's a hot mess. So you can do a narrative around like modern, like what's happening in U.S. men's soccer football, and bring Ted Lasso into this. Ted Lasso refuses to coach the men's national team and gets picked up by some other like fictional South American team or African team or European country, and leads them through it all. I think it's great, like opportunity for drama, for conflict, like nudge American soccer a bit. I think it's Jason, reach out to me, dude. Let's develop this. We can do it together.
Isn't Brett Goldstein a writer on the show?
I think he is. Yeah.
Look,
And yeah.
actually, in fact, I do know because he was actually hired as a writer. He was never supposed to play Roy Kent, and he ended up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he started writing, and he's like, I could be like, I can. This is me, or like he like. There's like a whole story. You have to look it up.
Well, Coach Beard, he's one of the co-creators, isn't he?
Correct.
Yeah. So he's one of the showrunners and writers and co-creators.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Look, if you are not watching shows on Apple TV because you just don't, or like if you got a new iPhone in the last freaking 6 months, you have it for a year for free.
That's true.
Okay, listen. Actually, I think any product, maybe just iPhone. I don't know. Look it up. But I'm telling you, Slow Horses, Ted Lasso, freaking Shrinking. You've got you got Wolves coming out here soon at the end of the next month.
I have news on that, but
You do?
yeah.
Bring it up real fast.
All right.
We didn't prep this one. This is Espa.
I was gonna pull it up, but here I'll tell you what happened. Reported this today. Brad Pitt and George Clooney. Okay.
This is today?
Yeah, this is today. They each got paid $35 million for
Starting a Wolf.
starting in Wolves each. And then what's his face? John Watts, the director, got paid $10 million. So between 3 cast members, $80 million. Just between 3 cast members. $80 million.
Now I want to know how much Matt Damon got paid for The Instigators.
Not as much as.
Yeah, you're right.
No. $80 million. I don't even know what the budget for this movie is. But just between 3 cast members, $80 million.
Is this going to theaters?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's going to theaters for just 7 days. Well, going to theaters, and then after 7 days, it's going to be on Apple TV. So again, going back to like what we were talking about, like the $20 billion that they're spending, wasting, like they really need to restructure.
They do well, and if they could but if the thing is that they could even take half that money, if they did $10 billion, but they put it in people who are going to tell really great stories that are unknown, and they're like, this is a budget, give us the best you could do. We might get another Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Or at least other stories that there. And if they even got one person that was like, hey, I'll hop on board, like that's semi-big. Because that is one of the things they promised. Big names, for their platform. And they've delivered.
No, they have.
But that's a lot of freaking money to throw it out. 3 people.
For just 3 people.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Big names, I get it, but... and then the other issue is the fact that this movie's not going to make its money back because it's in theaters for 7 days. It'll continue to be in theaters, but they're just going to release it on Apple TV. Everyone's going to wait to watch this at home.
Now, look, they have a new iPhone coming out. This is one thing that Apple has that other company studios don't have. They're going to have their new iPhones, they're going to have the new AI.
Okay.
So they could, again, break new sale records of some kind, bring in people via hardware. Doesn't necessarily mean that it'll fully cover their costs.
Look, one day we'll do an episode on like streaming services. How are they justifying? How are they not going bankrupt? The level of like the cost of productions and marketing and like I don't know. How do you justify $80 million just for 3 people on a movie? The budget for this has to clearly be like 150 for just a movie about 2 dudes trying to save a guy. Like, it's just, no.
I don't know. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for our rambling news here at Real Jumps.
If there's anything that you want to talk about next week, be sure to tag us. We'll share our thoughts. We'll comment your thoughts as well. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.